Weeks turned into months, and Dylan became deeply integrated into Xylarian society. His bond with Alara grew stronger each day, their partnership respected and admired by everyone. The palace returned to normal, bustling with peaceful activity, and the people of Zelaria experienced a period of great joy and prosperity. One sunny afternoon, Dylan and Alara walked together through the bustling market square. Xylarian merchants greeted them warmly, offering fresh fruits and handcrafted items. Dylan loved moments like this, feeling completely accepted among Alara's people. As they strolled, Alara noticed a small child staring at them shyly. She paused, smiling gently, kneeling to meet the child's eyes. "Hello, young one," she said softly. "Is everything all right?" The child nodded, looking up at Dylan with wide eyes. "Is it true he's from another world?" Dylan smiled gently and knelt beside Alara. "Yes, that's true. I come from a place called Earth. Do you like it here?" the child asked curiously. "I love it here," Dylan answered sincerely. "Your world is very beautiful, and your people are kind." The child smiled brightly and ran back to her friends, excitedly sharing the encounter. Alara stood up slowly, watching Dylan with a thoughtful expression. "You're very good with children," she observed warmly. "They're honest and curious," Dylan replied, smiling at her. "They make it easy." They continued walking through the market, discussing their plans for future developments and improvements in Zelaria. Dylan's engineering ideas had already greatly benefited the city, improving infrastructure and energy use. As they returned to the palace, one of Alara's trusted advisors approached urgently. "Your Majesty," the advisor began respectfully, "we have received reports of unusual activity near the northern border. Some villagers are worried." Alara exchanged a quick glance with Dylan, her expression turning serious. "We'll investigate immediately. Thank you for informing us." Together, Dylan and Alara quickly gathered a small group of trusted guards and set off toward the northern villages. The journey was swift and quiet, everyone aware of the potential danger awaiting them. When they arrived, villagers welcomed them anxiously, explaining strange sightings of unknown figures near their homes. Dylan listened carefully, noting the villagers' fears and concerns. "We'll stay here tonight and keep watch," Alara decided firmly. "We'll ensure your safety." As night fell, Dylan and Alara took positions near the village outskirts, observing silently. The moonlit landscape was quiet and peaceful, making the villagers' worries seem distant. Suddenly, Dylan noticed movement in the shadows. He signaled silently to Alara, who nodded carefully, prepared for anything. Slowly, several figures emerged, moving cautiously toward the village. Dylan stepped forward, raising his voice calmly. "Stop. Identify yourselves." The figures paused, startled by Dylan's command. After a brief moment, one stepped forward hesitantly, hands raised peacefully. "Please, we mean no harm," the figure spoke gently, stepping into the moonlight. Dylan saw they were travelers, clearly weary and fearful. "We come seeking refuge. Our village was attacked, and we had nowhere else to go." Alara stepped forward compassionately, addressing them kindly. "You're safe here. Tell us exactly what happened." The travelers explained their plight, detailing an attack by rogue forces in their distant region. They had fled, desperately seeking a safe haven. Dylan saw the genuine fear in their eyes and felt deeply moved. He exchanged a meaningful look with Alara, who nodded in agreement. "You're welcome here," Alara said warmly, addressing the travelers. "We will help you settle safely." The travelers expressed heartfelt gratitude, clearly relieved by Alara's kindness. Dylan felt proud of her leadership, witnessing yet again her wisdom and compassion. In the days that followed, Dylan helped the new arrivals settle into their new homes, coordinating efforts to provide them with food, shelter, and security. He admired how Alara welcomed them openly, ensuring they were treated with dignity and respect. One evening, after ensuring everyone was comfortable, Dylan found Alara standing quietly on the palace balcony, looking out over the peaceful city below. "You've done something amazing here," Dylan said softly, stepping beside her. She smiled warmly, looking at him affectionately. I couldn't have done it without you. You've brought strength and courage to Zolaria. Dylan shook his head modestly, taking her hand gently. You taught me what true leadership and compassion really mean. She squeezed his hand warmly, her eyes filled with deep affection. Together, we have built something truly wonderful. They stood quietly, enjoying the serene night, knowing they had truly created a lasting peace for Zolaria. Dylan felt immense gratitude, fully understanding he had found a true home among these gentle, wise beings. After a few moments of silence, Alara turned to him seriously. Dylan, there's something I've been meaning to discuss with you. Of course, Dylan replied, attentive to her serious tone. I've thought deeply about our future, Alara continued softly. We've created peace and unity, but I also think about my personal future, our future. Dylan's heart quickened with anticipation, sensing the direction of her thoughts. I want to share everything with you officially, Alara continued, looking deeply into his eyes. I want you by my side not just as an advisor, but as my partner officially and openly. Dylan felt overwhelming joy, his smile brightening instantly. Nothing would make me happier, Alara. Her eyes sparkled with happiness, relief evident in her expression. Then we will announce it to our people tomorrow. They already see the bond we share. It's time we celebrate it openly. Dylan took her hand, smiling warmly. Together, we'll continue building the future Zolaria deserves. Together, she agreed warmly, holding his gaze lovingly as they stood together under the moonlit sky. Dylan felt a profound sense of fulfillment. His journey had led him to Zolaria, to Alara, and to a life filled with meaning, purpose, and deep connection. And in that moment, Dylan knew with absolute certainty that he was exactly where he belonged, beside Alara, sharing dreams, responsibilities, and a future full of endless possibilities. Days passed as the people of Zolaria worked tirelessly to repair the damages caused by the recent conflict. Dylan helped wherever he could, using his engineering skills to rebuild and strengthen the palace's defenses. His bond with the Xylarians grew deeper each day, their gratitude and respect evident in every interaction. Queen Alara stayed busy overseeing the restoration efforts and comforting her people. Her presence continued to inspire everyone around her. Dylan watched her with admiration, noticing her endless strength and compassion, traits that had made him care deeply for her. One afternoon, as Dylan was fixing a damaged energy barrier near the palace's entrance, Alara approached quietly, watching him work with a gentle smile. You never stop, do you? She asked softly, stepping closer. Dylan turned, wiping sweat from his brow and smiling warmly. There's always something that needs fixing. I want to do all I can to help. Alara nodded thoughtfully. Your kindness and dedication mean more than you know, Dylan. My people adore you. Dylan blushed slightly, shaking his head modestly. I'm just glad to help. Your people have made me feel welcome. You have truly become part of us, Alara said sincerely, her eyes filled with warmth. I could not ask for more. She paused, looking slightly hesitant. Dylan, there's something important I need to discuss with you privately. Will you walk with me? Of course, Dylan replied, placing down his tools and following her as they walked together toward the palace gardens. Once they were alone among the peaceful flowers and gentle fountains, Alara took a deep breath, clearly gathering her thoughts. Dylan, she began slowly, her voice serious, yet soft. Soon there will be a council gathering of all the regional leaders. We must ensure lasting peace and unity for Zolaria. However, there are some who may not accept recent events easily. You worry they'll challenge your rule? Dylan asked gently, concerned. Not openly, perhaps, Alara replied thoughtfully, but some leaders prefer tradition. They might see your involvement here as interference. I must find a way to convince them otherwise. Dylan nodded thoughtfully. I understand. I'll support you in any way possible. Alara smiled appreciatively. I knew you'd say that. But there's Another matter. My people have begun to speak of our connection. They see the bond we share, and they talk about the possibility of us becoming partners officially. Dylan felt his heartbeat quicken. He had imagined this moment but wasn't sure how Alara truly felt. "And what do you think?" he asked softly. She looked directly into his eyes, her expression sincere and vulnerable. "I would like that very much, Dylan. You've shown courage, loyalty, and kindness beyond measure. I trust you more deeply than anyone." Dylan took her hand gently, feeling a strong wave of happiness. Then it settled. "We'll face whatever comes next together." Alara's eyes filled with joy, relief clear in her voice. "Thank you, Dylan. You've made me happier than you know." Over the following days, preparations for the council meeting became a priority. Dylan helped Alara prepare, providing advice on how to address potential concerns diplomatically. He studied the traditions and customs of the Xylarians to better understand how to present himself respectfully to the gathered leaders the day the council arrived. And Dylan felt nervous yet determined. Dressed formally in Xylarian attire, he stood proudly beside Alara as the regional leaders entered the large hall, each displaying a variety of expressions. From curiosity to suspicion, Alara began the meeting calmly and confidently, outlining her vision for a united Solaria, strengthened by cooperation and understanding. Dylan listened closely, impressed by her wisdom and eloquence. When the topic of Dylan's presence and his relationship with Alara was raised, a leader named Elder Voss spoke up cautiously. "Your Majesty, we respect your judgment deeply. However, some worry that involving an outsider may harm our traditions." Alara nodded patiently, responding calmly. "Dylan has proven himself time and again, risking his life to protect our people and our traditions. He respects our ways deeply and has integrated himself into our community willingly and wholeheartedly." Dylan stepped forward slightly, speaking with sincerity. "I understand your concerns, but please know my intention has always been to help and support your queen and your people, whom I deeply respect and admire. Solaria has become my home." His words resonated throughout the hall. Leaders murmured quietly, their expressions softening. Elder Voss studied Dylan closely before finally nodding respectfully. "Your actions have indeed shown sincerity, Dylan," Voss acknowledged. "Perhaps it is time for Solaria to embrace change and welcome those who truly wish to become one with us." Murmurs of agreement filled the hall, tension fading quickly. Alara smiled gratefully, gently touching Dylan's arm in reassurance. "Then we are agreed," Alara declared with firm confidence. "Together, we will build a future that embraces unity and harmony, strengthened by trust and cooperation." The council concluded positively, with leaders pledging their support to Alara's vision. Dylan felt immense relief, proud of their accomplishment. Alara turned toward him, her eyes shining brightly. "You were amazing," she whispered softly, smiling warmly. "You inspired me," Dylan replied sincerely, smiling back. That evening, a celebration filled the palace. Xylarians laughed, danced, and enjoyed each other's company, joyful in their renewed sense of unity. Dylan stood close to Alara, feeling grateful and content. "Your people truly respect you," Dylan said, watching the happy crowd. "They are strong, compassionate, and wise," Alara replied softly. "And now they see those same qualities in you." Dylan smiled warmly, taking her hand gently in his. "I owe that to you, Alara. You showed me what true leadership and compassion look like. And you taught me that courage and kindness are universal," Alara replied, her voice filled with affection. Together, they stood watching their people celebrate, knowing that this moment marked the beginning of a hopeful future, filled with love, unity, and endless possibilities. Dylan and Alara moved quietly through the shadowy outskirts of the palace grounds, constantly alert for any sign of danger. Their footsteps were light, their breathing careful, as they stayed hidden among the lush plants and tall trees. Dylan could feel his heartbeat quicken with each cautious step, but his resolve stayed firm. driven by his determination to protect Alara and help her reclaim her kingdom. After several tense minutes, they reached a small clearing where a handful of loyal Xylarian guards awaited them anxiously. Relief showed clearly on their faces as they saw their queen safe and unharmed. "Your Majesty," a guard named Kale exclaimed softly, bowing deeply. "We feared the worst." "I am well, thanks to Dylan," Alara responded warmly, nodding towards Dylan. "We must move quickly. We need to reorganize and take back control." Kale nodded firmly. "We have already sent messages to gather loyal warriors. They are waiting nearby, ready to follow your command." "Good," Alara replied decisively. "Then let's move swiftly." As they traveled further from the palace, Dylan stayed close to Alara, constantly aware of their surroundings. He admired Alara's calm leadership, her strength, and her bravery. She showed no fear, despite the immense pressure she faced. Soon, they reached a hidden camp where many Xylarians were preparing for battle. Seeing Alara, their faces lit up with hope and determination. Dylan noticed their deep loyalty to their queen. Inspired by her presence alone, Alara stood tall, addressing her warriors confidently. "We have faced difficult times, but we are strong together. Now we must fight to reclaim our home and protect our people. With your bravery and loyalty, we will succeed." The warriors cheered quietly but passionately, clearly motivated by Alara's words. Dylan felt pride and admiration swelling inside him. He knew he was witnessing the true strength of a compassionate leader. Soon after, Alara gathered her closest advisors to discuss their strategy. Dylan joined them, carefully listening and occasionally offering his insights, especially regarding technical defenses and engineering solutions. The group listened attentively, clearly valuing Dylan's input. "If we move swiftly and strategically," Alara explained, "we can retake the palace without unnecessary harm to our people. We must be careful, but firm." Everyone agreed quickly, understanding the importance of protecting innocent lives during the operation. Dylan admired Alara's balanced approach, knowing her wisdom would guide them safely through the crisis. As the meeting concluded, Alara pulled Dylan aside gently, her eyes serious but gentle. "Dylan, I must ask you again, are you certain you want to be involved in this battle? Your safety matters greatly to me." "I'm sure, Alara," Dylan responded firmly, meeting her gaze directly. "I will stay by your side. Your people have become important to me." Alara smiled warmly, deeply moved by his words. "Thank you, Dylan. Your presence brings me strength." Shortly afterward, preparations were complete. Alara and Dylan stood at the head of the assembled warriors, ready to begin their advance toward the palace. The atmosphere was tense yet hopeful, everyone aware of the significance of the moment. The journey back to the palace was swift and cautious. Dylan kept close to Alara, alert and ready to assist at any moment. As they approached, sounds of distant fighting indicated ongoing resistance from loyal palace guards, still bravely defending their home. Once near the palace, Alara swiftly organized her forces into efficient groups, each assigned specific tasks. Dylan stayed by her side, ready to provide technical support or defense if needed. "Be safe," Alara whispered gently to Dylan just before the operation began. "You too," Dylan replied earnestly, determination in his eyes. The battle started fiercely, Alara's warriors moving swiftly to reclaim key areas of the palace. Dylan focused on helping secure entry points and activating defensive barriers, ensuring rebels couldn't regroup and strike back effectively. Throughout the fighting, Dylan often glanced toward Alara, reassuring himself she remained safe. He admired her courage and steadiness, noting how her calm demeanor inspired those around her to fight bravely and efficiently. Slowly but surely, their forces retook key locations within the palace. The rebels, initially fierce, soon found themselves outmatched by Alara's discipline and determined warriors. Gradually, enemy resistance weakened, eventually collapsing entirely. By dawn, the palace was secure again. Dylan felt exhausted but deeply satisfied. He had played a crucial role, using his skills and bravery to support Alara and her people during their darkest moments. Alara gathered everyone in the central hall, speaking warmly and gratefully. Thank you all. Today we have shown our strength and unity. Zalaria will always stand strong as long as we have each other. Her people cheered joyfully, their faces filled with pride and happiness. Dylan stood quietly to the side, smiling gently. As he watched their celebration, feeling honored to have been part of something meaningful and important. Once the crowd dispersed, Alara turned toward Dylan, her eyes gentle yet intense. You have shown great bravery and kindness, Dylan. My gratitude knows no bounds. Dylan shook his head modestly. I only did what was necessary. Your people deserve peace and security. Alara smiled softly, stepping closer. You have done much. More than you realize. You have given me strength and hope when I needed it most. Their eyes met, emotions unspoken but deeply understood. Dylan felt a warmth rise within him, knowing he had formed an unbreakable bond with this remarkable woman. Their shared experiences had forged something deep and genuine between them. Your Majesty, Kale said respectfully, interrupting there. Quiet moment gently. We should ensure everything is secure and assist the wounded. Alara nodded, immediately refocusing on her responsibilities. Of course. Let us tend to our people. She glanced at Dylan warmly once more before moving away, her duties calling her attention once again. Dylan watched her go, his heart filled with admiration and respect as he helped the Xylarians tend to their wounded and rebuild their defenses. Dylan knew he was exactly where he belonged, standing beside Alara and her people. He had found a place where he truly mattered, alongside someone who had become incredibly important to him. And in his heart, Dylan knew that whatever challenges came next, he and Alara would face them together, their bond unbreakable, their trust unwavering. The fighting outside intensified, and Dylan worked quickly, instructing the Xylarian engineers how to reinforce the palace's defenses. His heart pounded in his chest, but his mind remained clear. He knew many lives depended on his ability to think clearly and act swiftly. We must strengthen the eastern gates immediately, Dylan called out urgently to a team of workers who hurriedly moved to follow his directions. He helped them set up barriers and powerful energy fields designed to hold back attackers. Queen Alara moved among her people calmly and confidently, her presence giving them courage and hope. Occasionally, she stopped to speak with Dylan, making sure he had everything he needed. Are you well, Dylan? She asked quietly during one brief pause. Her eyes searched his face, clearly worried despite her composed appearance. Yes, Alara, he answered firmly, smiling to reassure her. We're making good progress. She nodded gratefully, placing a gentle hand on his arm. Thank you. Your help means more than you can imagine. Before Dylan could reply, loud explosions shook the ground beneath them. Shouts and screams echoed through the palace halls, signaling that the rebels had breached another defense line. We must hurry, Alara commanded, her voice steady. The inner sanctum is secure, but we need to protect it at all costs. As Dylan and the Xylarian defenders moved quickly to fortify their final stronghold, the sounds of fighting grew closer. Rebel forces, driven by anger and desperation, were pressing hard toward the palace's heart. Dylan focused his efforts on setting up defensive traps and energy barriers, determined to buy Alara and her people precious time. Suddenly, a blast ripped through the entrance of their corridor, sending dust and debris flying. Dylan shielded his eyes, coughing harshly. Through the haze, he saw rebels charging toward them, weapons raised. Fall back! Dylan shouted urgently, guiding the engineers and guards towards safer ground. He stayed at the rear, ensuring everyone got away safely, his heart racing from adrenaline and fear. Amidst the chaos, Dylan spotted Alara, fighting fiercely alongside her warriors. He was amazed at her bravery, seeing her defend her people without hesitation. Dylan rushed toward her, determined to protect her. Alara! He called out, grabbing her arm and pulling her away just as a rebel weapon fired, narrowly missing her. You must get to safety. She resisted for a moment, wanting to continue fighting, but Dylan's determined expression convinced her otherwise. Together, they retreated quickly down another corridor, the sounds of battle still ringing behind them. This way, Dylan urged, leading her toward a hidden passage he had noticed earlier. He quickly opened the concealed entrance, pulling Alara inside. The passageway was narrow and dark, lit only by faint emergency lights. They moved swiftly and silently, eventually emerging in the palace gardens, now quiet and untouched by battle. Breathing heavily, Dylan and Alara paused for a moment, looking around cautiously. "We should stay hidden here for now," Dylan whispered softly. "They won't look for us here immediately." Alara nodded slowly, looking at him with gratitude and admiration. "You saved my life, Dylan. I will never forget this." He smiled gently, trying to steady his nerves. "I promised to stand by you, didn't I?" "You did," Alara agreed warmly, her voice filled with emotion. "And you kept your promise courageously." They found shelter under a large tree, hidden by thick foliage. Dylan watched carefully, ensuring they weren't followed. Once confident they were safe for now, he turned to Alara, who appeared thoughtful and calm despite the dire situation. "I never imagined things would become this dangerous," Alara said softly, her voice tinged with sadness. "My people are peaceful. It's painful to see violence like this." Dylan placed a comforting hand on her shoulder, his voice gentle and supportive. "You've done everything possible to protect your people, Alara. This isn't your fault." She sighed deeply, looking down. "Still, I feel responsible. As queen, it's my duty to ensure their safety and happiness." "You're doing that," Dylan assured her firmly. "Your strength and kindness inspire everyone, including me." Alara looked up, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "I'm glad you're here, Dylan. I don't know if I could endure this alone." "You're not alone," he promised quietly, gently squeezing her hand. "We'll get through this together." They sat quietly for a while, the silence broken only by distant sounds of conflict. Dylan thought about how much his life had changed in just a short time. Meeting Alara had brought him new challenges and dangers, but also feelings of deep respect and affection. Eventually, Alara stood slowly, determined and resolute. "We must find a way to regain control. We can't hide here forever." Dylan nodded in agreement, standing beside her. "You're right, but we must be careful and strategic." "Yes," she agreed. "We must reach my loyal guards and rally our forces. Together, we will reclaim the palace." "I'm ready," Dylan replied confidently, his heart filled with determination. Together, they quietly left their hiding place, moving carefully toward the outer edges of the garden. They knew the path ahead would be dangerous, but their resolve remained strong. Dylan trusted Alara completely, ready to support her in any way possible. As they moved through the shadows, Dylan couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and admiration for the strong, wise woman at his side. Queen Alara was more than just a powerful leader. She was compassionate, brave, and deeply committed to her people's well-being. And Dylan knew, without a doubt, that he would stay by her side, protecting and supporting her through whatever lay ahead. Together, they would face the dangers, confident that their bond was strong enough to overcome anything. Dylan spent the rest of the evening in deep thought, replaying every word of his conversation with Queen Alara. He couldn't help but feel excited, yet also nervous about her interest in him. The idea that someone so important and powerful would notice him, an ordinary engineer, was both flattering and intimidating. The next morning, Dylan was called to meet the queen again. Feeling anxious but determined, he followed the palace attendant through long hallways decorated with artwork depicting Xylarian history. Each image showed scenes of peace, cooperation, and harmony, making Dylan understand why the Xylarians were so respected across the galaxy. Entering a private chamber, Dylan saw Alara sitting near a large window that overlooked the beautiful gardens. Below, sunlight streamed into the room, highlighting her serene features. She smiled warmly when she saw him, gesturing for Dylan to join her. "Good morning, Dylan," Alara greeted gently. "I trust you rested well?" "Yes, Alara," he replied, feeling his nerves slowly easing in her comforting presence. "The guest rooms are very comfortable." "Excellent," Alara said softly. "Today, I would like us to talk openly. There's much I wish to understand about humans. In return, I hope to help you learn about my people." Dylan relaxed slightly, intrigued by the opportunity. "I'd be honored to answer any questions you have." For the next few hours, they exchanged stories and information. Dylan explained Earth's history, its struggles and achievements. He spoke passionately about humanity's courage and determination in the face of adversity. Alara listened intently, clearly fascinated by every detail. In return, Alara described Xylarian culture and traditions. She spoke of their deep respect for harmony and balance, values that guided their lives and decisions. Dylan was deeply impressed by the wisdom and kindness evident in her words. "You seem very passionate about your people," Dylan observed respectfully. "It must be challenging to carry so much responsibility." Alara sighed softly, her gaze distant. "It is true. Being queen is an honor, but it can also be very lonely. Advisors surround me, yet few understand my true feelings." Dylan nodded thoughtfully. "I can imagine how difficult that must be." She turned, meeting his gaze seriously. "That is why your presence here is important to me, Dylan. I see honesty and sincerity in you, qualities rare in those who usually surround me." Dylan felt a blush rise again. "I appreciate your trust, Alara. It means a lot to me." They continued their discussion, moving from personal experiences to deeper topics about life and relationships. Dylan learned that the Xylarians deeply valued emotional connections, though they were careful in forming them. Alara explained that her question about him being unattached wasn't just casual curiosity. She was genuinely considering Dylan as someone who could offer companionship, perhaps even more. Feeling a sense of responsibility, Dylan hesitated slightly before speaking again. "Alara, I'm just a regular human." "Why would someone as amazing as you find interest in me?" Alara smiled gently, reaching out and lightly touching his hand, sending a warm sensation through him. "You underestimate yourself, Dylan. True greatness lies not in titles or power, but in the kindness of one's heart. And yours is remarkable." Feeling deeply touched, Dylan looked into her eyes, seeing genuine sincerity and warmth there. "Thank you, Alara. Your words mean a great deal to me." Just as they were about to continue, an urgent knock sounded at the door. One of Alara's guards entered quickly, looking concerned. "My queen," the guard said hurriedly, "there has been a sudden attack in the city. Rebels have breached the outer defenses. We must move you to safety immediately." Alara stood quickly, her calm demeanor giving way to a momentary flash of worry. "Thank you. Prepare the defense forces. We will respond swiftly." The guard nodded, exiting swiftly to follow her orders. Alara turned to Dylan, a serious expression on her face. "I'm sorry, Dylan," she said firmly yet gently. "It seems our time has been cut short. You should return to your delegation immediately. The palace guards will escort you safely." "Alara," Dylan spoke up determinedly, stepping closer. "Please let me help. I'm an engineer. Perhaps my skills can be useful." Alara hesitated briefly, studying his earnest expression. "Your courage is admirable, Dylan. Are you sure about this?" "It will be dangerous." "I'm sure," Dylan responded confidently. "I want to help, and I want to stand by you." Her expression softened with gratitude and admiration. "Then come quickly." Together, they hurried through the palace halls, joining a group of loyal guards and advisors preparing to face the crisis. The palace was alive with activity as orders were shouted and defenses were organized. Dylan's mind raced, eager to contribute and prove himself worthy of Alara's trust. Outside, the city showed signs of panic and confusion. Smoke rose from distant buildings, evidence of the rebels' violent actions. Alara quickly gave orders, her voice strong and commanding. Dylan admired her strength under pressure, seeing clearly why her people respected and loved her deeply. When they reached the main defense room, Alara quickly organized her officers, outlining plans to protect innocent citizens and retake control of the city. Dylan stepped forward, offering his engineering knowledge to assist in strengthening the city's defenses. Alara smiled approvingly, clearly impressed by his bravery and resourcefulness. As Dylan worked alongside Xylarian technicians, he felt a sense of purpose and pride. Despite the danger, he felt strangely at peace, knowing he was doing something meaningful, helping the Xylarians and Alara in their time of need. Throughout the chaos, Dylan occasionally caught glimpses of Alara, always calm and decisive. Their eyes met briefly several times, each glance filled with silent understanding and support. Dylan knew he was right where he was meant to be, standing firmly beside Queen Alara, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Dylan stood nervously at the entrance of the spaceship, adjusting his uniform. He was young, just 25, but his reputation as a talented engineer had brought him here, far from Earth. Around him, other delegates prepared for their important meeting with the Xylarians, a powerful alien race living on a distant planet. Dylan tried to stay calm, though his heart was beating quickly. "Relax," whispered his friend Megan, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. Megan was a diplomat and had visited many planets before. She always seemed calm and confident, making Dylan envy her ease. "Remember, the Xylarians invited us. They want to talk. Everything will be fine." Dylan smiled weakly and nodded. "I know. I just never imagined I'd meet aliens, especially a queen." "Queen Alara is known to be fair," Megan assured him. "Just follow my lead." The spaceship doors opened slowly, and a bright, warm light flooded inside. Dylan blinked as he stepped out onto Zelaria. The planet was beautiful, unlike anything he'd seen before. Tall trees with silvery leaves swayed gently, their branches stretching toward a sky that shimmered softly with colors of blue and purple. As Dylan walked with the group, he noticed grand buildings made from smooth, white stones. The streets were lined with Xylarians who watched them curiously. They had slender, graceful bodies, slightly taller than humans, with delicate features and eyes that seemed to sparkle with intelligence. The delegates were led into a large hall decorated with fine claws and glowing crystals. Dylan admired everything around him, feeling both amazed and out of place. Soon, a voice announced the arrival of the queen. Everyone in the hall turned respectfully as Queen Alara entered. She was tall and elegant, dressed in a flowing gown that shimmered like the stars. Her hair, pale blue like the Xylarian sky, cascaded down her back. Dylan felt his breath catch when her deep, thoughtful eyes met his for a brief moment. After formal introductions, Megan and other diplomats started speaking with the Queen about their alliance and cooperation. Dylan, relieved to fade into the background, stepped quietly away. He wanted fresh air, feeling overwhelmed by the importance of the meeting. Finding himself in an empty hallway, Dylan walked slowly, breathing deeply. He noticed the door slightly open, leading into a lush garden. Curious, he stepped through quietly, captivated by the beauty around him. Flowers of vivid colors surrounded a small fountain where clear water trickled peacefully. Lost in thought, Dylan didn't notice the soft footsteps approaching until he heard a gentle voice behind him. "It's beautiful here, isn't it?" Dylan turned quickly, surprised to see Queen Alara standing close, smiling softly at him. He immediately felt nervous, unsure of what to say or do. "Your Majesty," he began awkwardly, bowing his head. "I'm sorry. I didn't know this place was private." Queen Alara laughed lightly, her voice warm and musical. "Please, don't apologize. I find company refreshing, especially someone new like you. What is your name?" "Dylan," he answered softly, trying to keep his voice steady. "Dylan," she repeated thoughtfully, smiling. "You are an engineer, yes? I've read your profile. Your knowledge and creativity impress me greatly." "Thank you, Your Majesty," Dylan replied, feeling his cheeks flush slightly. I just do my best. Alara studied him closely, her expression curious and kind. May I ask you something personal, Dylan? He nodded quickly, his heart pounding again. Are you unattached human? She asked gently, her eyes watching his reaction carefully. Dylan felt his face grow warm, unsure how to answer the unexpected question. Yes, I am unattached, he finally managed. Confused but intrigued by her sudden interest, Queen Alara smiled, seeming pleased. Good. I have learned much about your people, Dylan, and I see kindness and honesty in you. These qualities are rare and valuable, especially among those who advise me. Dylan didn't know what to say. The Queen's words were flattering, yet he felt humbled and uncertain. You are too kind, Your Majesty. She stepped closer, her eyes gentle, yet serious. Please, call me Alara when we are alone. I spend much time alone, surrounded by advisors who rarely speak their true feelings. Your sincerity is refreshing. Thank you. Alara, Dylan said slowly, feeling a strange warmth spreading in his chest. Alara looked up toward the stars, visible through the glass dome above the garden. I believe our people have much to offer each other, Dylan, but true alliances need more than just politics. They need trust, understanding, and perhaps even friendship. I agree, Dylan responded quietly, sensing a hidden meaning behind her words. Alara smiled warmly, meeting his eyes again. Then perhaps we can spend more time together, learning from each other. Would you be comfortable with that, Dylan? Feeling deeply honored and more than a little nervous, Dylan nodded eagerly. I'd like that very much, Alara. Good, she whispered, stepping away gracefully. Then it is settled. I will speak with you again soon. For now, please enjoy this garden. It is a peaceful place, perfect for thinking. With a final gentle smile, Queen Alara left Dylan alone. He watched her go, his heart racing with excitement and curiosity. As he stood in the serene garden, Dylan realized his life was about to change in ways he could never have imagined.